Have you ever picked up a book that seemed to speak directly to your soul, as if the words were written specifically for you in your exact moment of need? What if I told you that there's a spiritual text so powerful that it doesn't just inform your mind, it literally restructures your entire consciousness? This is exactly what happens when you encounter The Inner Christ by Emmet Fox, a work that has been quietly transforming lives for decades. Here's the fascinating part. Fox himself warns us that this isn't just another spiritual book you casually read and put back on the shelf. Have you ever experienced that feeling when certain words seem to resonate with the echo of your deepest truth? That's precisely what's happening here. These teachings arrive not as mere information flooding your intellect, but as living catalysts designed to awaken something profoundly dormant within you. Think about it. How many times have you felt genuinely lost in life, only to later realize you weren't actually lost at all? You'd simply forgotten who you really were. This is the core revelation that Fox presents with such precision and power. Each teaching in this remarkable work functions as a spiritual key, unlocking doors that lead inward toward a place where freedom isn't dictated by external circumstances, but by the unshakable power of your own spirit. What makes this book truly extraordinary is its transformative purpose. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely shift how you view your spiritual journey. Fox understood something that many spiritual teachers miss. The human soul doesn't need more theories or beautiful philosophies. It needs to remember its way back home to itself. This isn't about adding more concepts to your spiritual vocabulary. It's about awakening to a truth that has always been waiting patiently within you. As you'll soon see, every word, every chapter, every profound insight was carefully crafted, not just to teach you something new, but to help you recognize what you've always known deep down, but somehow forgotten along the way. If this topic resonates with you, if you've ever felt that profound sense of spiritual homesickness, that knowing that there's something deeper within you waiting to be awakened, I'd love for you to drop a comment below about what touched you the most. Share your own moment of recognition, maybe a time when you felt those words speaking directly to your soul. Your story could be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And here's something that genuinely moves me about our community. Every like on this video isn't just a number to me. It's a signal that says, yes, I'm on this journey too. I'm ready to dive deeper into these transformative truths. Your participation here is what helps this channel grow and reach more people with this kind of content. Souls who are searching for something real, something that goes beyond surface-level spirituality. If you're feeling that pull, that sense that this is exactly the type of content you want more of in your life, I encourage you to subscribe. Not because we need the numbers, but because there's something sacred about consciously choosing to surround yourself with teachings that elevate your consciousness. When you hit that subscribe button, you're essentially saying, I'm ready for more. I'm committed to this path of remembering who I truly am. What's fascinating is how we often discover Fox's teachings at precisely the moment we need them most. It's as if the universe conspires to bring these words to us when our hearts are finally ready to receive them. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because what Fox reveals about the creative power of thought is nothing short of revolutionary. Have you ever noticed how everything around you, your home, the clothes you're wearing, the very screen you're looking at right now, all of these began as invisible thoughts? This isn't some mystical metaphor or philosophical concept. This is the fundamental law of creation in action. Think about this for a moment. The chair you're sitting on was once just an idea in someone's mind. The technology that allows you to watch this video, the building you're in, even your own physical body, all of these manifested from the realm of invisible thought into tangible reality. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your moods, your circumstances, your relationships, even your health and healing, They all originate in the mind. Most people live their entire lives believing the opposite. They think external events cause their thoughts and feelings. They say things like, "I'm depressed because it's raining," or "I'm stressed because of my job," or "I'm unhappy because of what happened to me." But Fox shows us the hidden truth that changes everything. You don't suffer from what happens to you. You suffer from what you think about what happens to you. This revelation completely transforms your relationship with life itself. Suddenly, you're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're no longer powerless against the winds of change. You become the creator of your own experience. When you understand that your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world, everything shifts. Imagine the impact this has on your daily life. When you grasp that your thoughts are literally creating your reality moment by moment, you start paying attention to the stories you tell yourself. You become aware of the mental patterns that have been running unconsciously, shaping your experiences without your knowledge. This is what Fox calls the great revelation. The recognition that you hold the power to transform your life, not through external manipulation or force, but through the simple yet profound act of changing your thinking. It's a journey back to your own creative authority, a remembering of the truth that was always there but somehow got buried under layers of conditioning and false beliefs. The most beautiful part, this transformation isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's your birthright as a conscious being. Every moment offers you the choice to step into this creative power, to align your thoughts with the truth of who you really are. Comment below, "I'm ready to create," if this resonates with your journey of discovering your own creative power. But here's where most people get stuck, and it's a crucial distinction that Fox makes. Crystal clear. It's not enough to simply think positive thoughts. You've probably heard this advice countless times. Just think positive. And maybe you've even tried it. But if it felt empty or forced, there's a reason for that. Thinking with truth is entirely different from positive thinking. When you think with truth, you're aligning your mind with divine laws, the fundamental principles that govern reality itself. This means recognizing that goodness isn't just a nice concept. It's the very nature of the universe. As a child of this divine goodness, you have an inherent right to experience good in your life. This is where the real transformation happens. Instead of trying to convince yourself that everything is fine when it clearly isn't, you learn to look beyond appearances. You begin to see through the illusion of temporary circumstances to affirm the eternal light that's always present. It's like having X-ray vision for reality. You see past the surface drama to the spiritual truth underneath. Now I want to go even deeper into what Fox calls perhaps the most revolutionary revelation of all, the inner Christ. This isn't about religion or doctrine. It's about something far more personal and profound. Within you, right now, there exists an invisible, eternal altar. It's not made of stone or wood. It doesn't require any external validation or permission to exist. It simply is. This altar is where the Spirit of God dwells, and that Spirit, Fox reveals, is your true self. This is the inner Christ, and it has nothing to do with historical figures or religious institutions. Christ, in this context, is a universal consciousness, the perfect idea of divine love and wisdom incarnated in every human being. Jesus was the highest manifestation of this consciousness we've witnessed, but here's the mind-blowing truth. That same Christ consciousness lives within you right now. It's waiting patiently to be recognized, acknowledged, and expressed through your unique life experience. This isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about remembering what you've always been. The inner Christ isn't something you need to earn or achieve through years of meditation or spiritual practice. It's your birthright, your true identity that exists beyond all the roles and labels you've accumulated throughout your life. The revelation gets even deeper when you realize that every moment of struggle, every experience of feeling less than perfect, has been Nothing more than forgetting this truth. You've been looking everywhere for what was never missing in the first place. When you begin to recognize this inner Christ, not as a theological concept, but as a living reality within your consciousness, everything shifts. Your decisions start coming from a different place. Your mindset naturally elevates. The hidden truth of your divine nature begins to impact every aspect of your life. Right, I remember who I am. If you're feeling this recognition stirring within you, this recognition isn't just a personal revelation. It's about understanding something that transcends individual identity altogether. The Christ consciousness that Fox describes isn't the exclusive property of any one person or religion. It's not something that belongs only to those who follow certain beliefs or practice specific rituals. This is the divine spark that exists in every human being, regardless of background, culture, or spiritual path. Think about the profound implications of this. The part of you that is truly you, your essence, your core, cannot be stained by any mistake you've made. It cannot be destroyed by time or aging. It cannot be trapped by fear, no matter how overwhelming that fear might feel in the moment. This is your true identity, beyond all the temporary roles you play in life. This is your innate wisdom speaking when you suddenly know something without being taught. This is your authentic love that needs no reason or condition to express itself. This is your spiritual power that can transform any situation. It's the part of you that was never born and will never die. It simply is, eternal and unchanging. Now I want to go even deeper into how we actually access this consciousness in practical terms. Remember the story of Moses asking God for his name? The response was profound. I am that I am. Fox reveals something extraordinary about this simple phrase that will change how you speak for the rest of your life. Every single time you say, I am, you're invoking the sacred name of God. You're making a declaration about reality itself. But notice what we've been taught to do with this incredible power. We say things like, I am poor, I am sick, I am weak, I am not good enough, I am unlucky. We take this divine creative force and use it to affirm limitation and lack. Here's the hidden truth that will transform your entire approach to self-talk. You cannot actually be any of these limiting things. When you say, I am poor, you're not stating a fact about your divine nature. You're creating a temporary experience based on a false belief. You might currently lack money, but you cannot be poverty itself. You are the living expression of infinite abundance from your divine source. When you say, I am sick, you might have symptoms in your body, but you cannot be illness itself. Your true nature is perfect health, eternal life force expressing through your physical form. When you say, I am weak, you might feel fear or uncertainty, but weakness is not who you are. You are divine power itself, temporarily experiencing a forgetful moment. The moment you understand this distinction, everything changes. Your words become conscious declarations rather than unconscious affirmations of limitation. You begin to use the sacred I am as it was intended, to create reality in alignment with your divine nature, rather than to reinforce illusions about your temporary circumstances. This isn't about denying current conditions or pretending problems don't exist. It's about recognizing the difference between what you're experiencing and who you truly are. It's about using your creative power purposefully, aligning your declarations with the truth of your being, rather than with temporary appearances. The impact of this awareness ripples through every area of your life. Your mindset shifts from reactive to creative. Your decisions begin flowing from divine wisdom rather than fear-based thinking. The hidden truth of your I am nature becomes the foundation for every transformation you seek. Comment below with I am that I am if you're ready to claim this sacred truth. When you begin to understand the power of your words, you naturally start wondering about prayer itself. Here's where Fox completely revolutionizes our understanding of what prayer actually is. Most of us were taught that prayer means talking to God, asking, pleading, sometimes even bargaining. But Fox reveals something that might surprise you. The most powerful prayer isn't about speaking at all. True prayer is about listening. It's about withdrawing into what Jesus called your inner room. Not a physical space, but the sacred chamber of your consciousness. When you close the door to external distractions and even to your own mental chatter, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear the whisper of spirit within you. This isn't a dramatic voice or mystical revelation. It's more like a gentle knowing that arises from the deepest part of your being. It's the inner guidance that comforts you when you're troubled, affirms truth when you're confused, and brings clarity when you're lost. This is prayer as communion rather than communication. The impact of this shift in understanding cannot be overstated. When you approach prayer as listening, you stop being the one who has all the problems and start being the one who receives all the solutions. You move from a position of lack to a position of receptivity. Your entire spiritual journey transforms from seeking God somewhere out there to recognizing God's voice within. Now, I want to go even deeper into why so many people struggle with prayer and manifestation. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract what they want effortlessly, while others can affirmation all day long with little to show for it? Fox explains this mystery through what he calls the real law of attraction. Here's the hidden truth. You don't attract what you wish for with your lips. You attract what you deeply believe in your heart. This law operates constantly, every moment of every day, responding not to your surface thoughts or repeated affirmations, but to your innermost convictions, the beliefs you hold at the deepest level of your being. This explains why you can say, "I am prosperous" 1,000 times, visualize abundance, create vision boards, and still attract scarcity. If your core belief is, "I'm poor," or "money doesn't grow on trees," or "people like me don't get wealthy," then this deeper belief will always override your surface affirmations. The law of attraction isn't responding to what you think you should believe or what you hope to believe someday. It's responding to what you actually believe right now in the depths of your consciousness. These core beliefs were often formed in childhood or through significant life experiences, and they operate below the level of conscious awareness. This is why Fox emphasizes the importance of doing the inner work, not just changing your thoughts, but transforming your deeply held beliefs. It's about excavating these hidden convictions and replacing them with truth. When your heart truly knows that you are abundance itself, that you are the living expression of divine prosperity, then attraction becomes effortless. The beauty of this understanding is that it puts the power back in your hands. You're not at the mercy of some mysterious force that randomly grants or denies requests. You're not dependent on getting your technique perfect or finding the right words. You simply need to align your deepest beliefs with the truth of who you are. This alignment doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey of discovery, healing, and transformation. It requires patience with yourself and compassion for the parts of you that still hold limiting beliefs. But every step on this journey brings you closer to living from your authentic power. Type I. Believe in my heart, if you're ready to explore what you truly believe at the deepest level. When you start to grasp this concept of deep belief versus surface affirmation, you begin to understand why Fox emphasizes that like attracts like. This isn't just a feel-good spiritual concept, it's a precise law operating through vibration and belief. Think of it this way: life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. This distinction is crucial for your transformation. If you want to attract health, It's not enough to just repeat affirmations about healing. You must become health in your consciousness. You must think health, speak health, feel yourself as the very embodiment of health. Even before you see physical results, your entire energy field must vibrate with the feeling of wellness. This might feel challenging at first. How can you feel healthy when your body is showing symptoms? How can you embody abundance when your bank account says otherwise? This is where the journey gets profound. You're not denying current circumstances. You're choosing to identify with your deeper truth rather than temporary appearances. When you consistently align your thoughts, words, and feelings with the reality you want to experience, something extraordinary happens. Your vibration shifts, your energy changes, and life begins responding to this new frequency you're broadcasting. The outer world starts reflecting this inner transformation. Now, I want to go even deeper into what Fox calls scientific prayer, because this is where many people experience their greatest breakthroughs. Traditional prayer often sounds like begging or pleading with a distant God. You might say things like, "Please give me peace," or "Dear God, help me find happiness," or "I need you to heal me." But Fox reveals the hidden limitation in this approach. When you pray, "Give me peace," you're actually affirming that peace is something you don't have. You're declaring yourself separate from the very thing you're seeking. You're reinforcing the belief that peace exists somewhere outside of you, waiting to be granted by an external force. Scientific prayer turns this completely around. It's not about asking for what you lack. It's about recognizing what you already possess in the spiritual realm. True prayer sounds like, "Father, I recognize your peace already lives within me." It's a declaration of present reality, not a request for future blessing. The shift is subtle but revolutionary. Instead of begging from a place of lack, you're acknowledging from a place of fullness. Instead of affirming separation, you're declaring unity. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you're celebrating what's already present. But here's where the magic happens. You don't just say these words, you accept and feel this reality. You let this recognition soak into every cell of your being. You act as if this truth is so real that you can't imagine it being any other way. This is why Fox calls it scientific prayer. It follows precise spiritual laws, just like scientific experiments follow physical laws. When you apply the right principle in the right way, you get predictable results. This isn't about faith in the sense of blind belief. It's about understanding and applying spiritual principles that govern how consciousness creates reality. The impact of this shift from asking to recognizing, from begging to claiming, from lacking to acknowledging abundance, this transforms not just your prayer life, but your entire relationship with life itself. You stop being someone who needs things to change and become someone who recognizes that everything you need is already present and available right now. Your decisions start flowing from this place of inner fullness rather than outer need. Your mindset becomes one of gratitude rather than petition. Behind the scenes of your daily experience, a profound shift occurs. You begin living from the truth of your divine nature, rather than from the illusion of human limitation. Share, "I recognize my wholeness," if this deeper understanding of prayer resonates with your spiritual journey. When you begin to pray from this place of recognition rather than request, something profound happens to how you see the world around you. This brings us to one of Fox's most transformative teachings, the law of reflection. Right now, as you look at your life, what you're seeing isn't a random collection of circumstances happening to you. Your outer world is an exact mirror of your consciousness. This might be difficult to accept at first. We've been conditioned to believe that life happens to us, that we're at the mercy of external forces, that other people's actions determine our experience. But Fox reveals the hidden truth. There are no enemies, no victims, only reflections. Every situation that appears in your life is showing you something that's vibrating in your consciousness, so you can recognize it, embrace it, and transform it. The world isn't attacking you, it's revealing your inner state, that difficult boss who triggers your anger. They're showing you unresolved anger within yourself, the financial struggle that creates anxiety. It's reflecting beliefs about worth and abundance that live in your subconscious, the relationship that brings up feelings of abandonment. It's mirroring fears of not being lovable that you carry inside. At first, this revelation might feel overwhelming. You might think, you saying everything bad that happens to me is my fault? That's not what Fox is saying at all. This isn't about blame, it's about power. When you understand that your outer world reflects your inner world, you realize you're not a victim of circumstances. You're the creator of your experience. Now, I want to go even deeper into the most intimate aspect of this teaching. How people in your life function as mirrors. Everyone who appears in your life, from your closest family members to strangers you encounter briefly, shows you an aspect of yourself. And this happens with mathematical precision. What irritates you most in another person reveals something you need to address within yourself. That person who seems arrogant, they're showing you either your own hidden arrogance or your unhealed relationship with confidence. The individual who appears selfish, they might be reflecting your own denied selfishness or your difficulty with healthy boundaries. But it works both ways. What you most admire in others is something that already lives within you, asking to be expressed. When you see someone being incredibly kind, it's because kindness is already present in your soul, recognizing itself in another. When you're inspired by someone's courage, it's your own courage calling to be awakened. The impact of understanding this principle transforms every relationship in your life. You stop trying to change others and start focusing on your own growth. You realize that every person who pushes your buttons is actually a gift. They're showing you exactly what needs healing within yourself. There are no coincidences in who enters your life. Every encounter, every relationship, every person who crosses your path is a mirror helping you grow. Some mirrors show you your light, others reveal your shadows. Both are equally valuable for your spiritual evolution. This doesn't mean you stay in toxic relationships or tolerate abuse. It means you recognize the lesson, do the inner work to heal what's being reflected, and then make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. Often, when you truly heal the inner pattern, the outer reflection automatically shifts. Behind the scenes of your daily interactions, a deeper spiritual curriculum is unfolding. Each challenging person is a teacher in disguise. Each conflict is an opportunity for healing. Each moment of friction is pointing you toward an area of growth. When you begin to see your relationships this way, your entire life becomes a journey of self-discovery. You approach difficult people with curiosity rather than defensiveness. You use every trigger as a doorway to deeper understanding. You transform from someone who reacts to the world to someone who consciously creates their experience. Right, everyone is my teacher. If you're ready to embrace this transformative way of seeing relationships, once you truly grasp that everyone is reflecting something back to you, blame naturally becomes impossible. This is perhaps the most liberating revelation in Fox's teachings. When you deeply understand the law of reflection, you can no longer point fingers at others for your experiences. Instead, you recognize that every situation, no matter how challenging or unfair it might seem, reflects something within your own consciousness. This shift in perspective is absolutely revolutionary. Instead of saying, "They're making my life miserable," or "This situation is ruining everything," you begin to say, "This situation reflects something in me. I'm willing to see it and change it." The moment you take this stance, you reclaim your power completely. It's not about taking responsibility for every bad thing that's ever happened to you. It's about recognizing that your response to life's circumstances creates your experience. Two people can go through identical situations and have completely different experiences based on their consciousness, their beliefs, and their inner state. When you stop blaming external factors, something magical happens. You become curious about your inner world. You start asking empowering questions. What belief is creating this reflection? What part of me needs healing? How can I grow from this experience? These questions lead to transformation, while blame keeps you stuck in victimhood. Now, I want to go even deeper into something that happens thousands of times a day in your life, something so automatic you might not even notice it. The words you speak. Fox teaches something that will fundamentally change how you communicate. Every word you speak is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. This isn't metaphorical language. This is a precise spiritual law. There are no harmless words. There are no throwaway comments. Every single word you speak becomes a creative force in your experience. When you casually say things like, "This weather is making me sick," or "I can't afford this," or "My back is killing me," you're literally planting seeds that will grow into your reality. The hidden truth most people miss is that your subconscious doesn't understand sarcasm, jokes, or casual comments. It simply takes every word as a command and works to make it real. When you speak of illness, your subconscious begins creating the conditions for illness. When you speak of lack, it manifests scarcity. When you speak of fear, it attracts things to be afraid of. This is why Fox emphasizes being incredibly mindful of your speech. Every word is either building your desired reality or creating unwanted experiences. The impact of this awareness is immediate and profound. You start paying attention to phrases you've been using unconsciously for years. Many people sabotage their own prayers and positive thinking by speaking against them throughout the day. They might do a morning affirmation about prosperity, then spend the rest of the day complaining about money problems. They pray for health, then constantly talk about their symptoms. This contradictory speech cancels out their positive intentions. Behind the scenes of your consciousness, every word you speak is either reinforcing your divine nature or strengthening false beliefs about limitation. When you say, "I'm always unlucky," you're programming yourself to notice and attract unlucky experiences. When you declare, "Good things always come to me," you're creating a consciousness that recognizes and draws in blessings. The transformation begins when you become the guardian of your words. You start choosing language that aligns with your highest vision of yourself and your life. Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," you say, "I choose not to invest in that right now." Instead of "This is impossible," you say, "I'm discovering a solution." Instead of "I'm getting old," you say, "I'm gaining wisdom and experience." Your decisions about what words to use become conscious choices about what reality you want to create. Your mindset shifts from unconscious pattern repetition to deliberate reality creation. The journey from victim language to creator language is one of the most powerful transformations you can make. Type, "My words create my world," if you're ready to become more conscious of how your language shapes your reality. When you truly grasp that your words are creating your world moment by moment, you begin to understand why Fox places such emphasis on conscious speech. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about avoiding negative words. It's about understanding that three qualities must be present in your speech for it to have transformative power: love, faith, and purpose. Words spoken from love carry a completely different frequency than words spoken from ego, anger, or fear. When you speak from love, you're not defending, attacking, or proving anything. You're building bridges, healing wounds, and elevating consciousness. Your words become instruments of blessing rather than weapons of destruction. Faith means speaking with inner conviction, with certainty that aligns with divine truth. It's not about pretending everything is perfect when it's clearly not. It's about speaking from the perspective of your highest self, declaring truth even when current circumstances suggest otherwise. When you say, "I am perfect health with faith," you're speaking from the consciousness where healing already exists. Purpose means every word has a noble intention behind it. You're not filling the air with meaningless chatter or repeating what everyone else says. You're using your voice as a conscious tool for transformation. Before speaking, you ask yourself, does this build or destroy? Does this heal or wound? Does this elevate or diminish? Now, I want to go even deeper into how this principle of conscious speech connects with everything Fox teaches about the nature of reality. When you understand that your words are literally shaping your experience, you begin to see the profound responsibility and power you carry. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to create positive change. This is particularly evident in how we talk about ourselves. Notice the internal dialogue running through your mind right now. What words are you using to describe yourself, your situation, your possibilities? Are you your own worst critic, constantly reinforcing limitations with your self-talk? Or are you becoming your own best advocate, speaking to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a beloved friend? The transformation happens when you realize that the voice in your head, the one you've assumed is neutral or just describing reality, is actually creating your reality through constant decree. When you think, "I'm such an idiot," after making a mistake, you're not just observing, you're programming. When you think, "I never get what I want," you're not describing your life, you're designing it. Behind the scenes of your conscious mind, your subconscious is taking notes on every word, every thought, every declaration. It's like having an incredibly literal assistant who takes everything you say as a direct order. Say, "I'm tired of being broke," and it focuses on maintaining the broke experience. Say, "I'm discovering my financial freedom," and it begins looking for opportunities and solutions. The impact of this awareness extends far beyond personal transformation. When you understand the creative power of words, you become more careful about how you talk about others. You stop gossiping, complaining, or speaking ill of people because you realize you're actually affecting your own experience through this speech. You can't diminish others without diminishing yourself. This is why Fox emphasizes that words spoken with consciousness become prayers in themselves. Every positive declaration is an act of faith. Every kind word is a blessing in motion. Every truth spoken with love becomes a healing force in the world. The journey from unconscious speech to conscious creation happens gradually. You start by simply noticing what you're saying. Then you begin pausing before speaking, asking yourself if these words align with your highest good. Eventually, conscious speech becomes natural, and your words naturally flow from wisdom, love, and truth. Think about the decisions you make throughout each day, from the moment you wake up and potentially complain about being tired, to the end of the day when you might worry out loud about tomorrow. Each of these verbal choices is either supporting your divine nature or reinforcing human limitations. Your mindset about the power of words determines everything. When you truly understand that every word carries creative force, you become incredibly selective about what you say. You stop using your voice to reinforce problems and start using it to affirm solutions. You cease speaking illness into being and begin declaring health into manifestation. Drop a "I choose my words wisely" in the comments if you're committed to using language as a conscious tool for creating the life you desire. As you become more conscious of your speech, something profound begins to shift in how you see the world itself. This brings us to perhaps the most revolutionary teaching Fox offers, the principle of oneness. This isn't just a beautiful spiritual concept, it's the fundamental reality that underlies everything we've been discussing about thoughts, words, and creation. There is no separation between you and God. There is no separation between you and your neighbor. There is no division between spirit and matter, sacred and secular, heaven and earth. This might sound like philosophical idealism, but Fox reveals this as the deepest truth of the gospel, the hidden reality behind all appearances of separation. When you truly grasp this, everything changes. You begin to see God everywhere, not as a distant entity watching from above, but as the very fabric of existence itself. God is in the sunrise that greets you, Each morning, in the breath moving through your lungs right now, in the difficult person who triggers your growth, in the challenge that's teaching you strength. This recognition of oneness transforms how you move through the world. You can no longer treat others as separate from yourself because you know, at the deepest level, we are all expressions of the same divine life. You can no longer see problems as external forces attacking you because everything is arising within the one consciousness, of which you are an integral part. The impact of this realization ripples through every aspect of your existence. Your decisions begin flowing from unity rather than division. Your mindset shifts from me versus the world to me as the world expressing through this unique perspective. Behind the scenes of your daily experiences, you start recognizing the one life appearing as many different forms. Now, I want to go even deeper into what this means practically. When you see someone who irritates you, instead of focusing on their behavior, you remember, this is God wearing a different mask. This doesn't mean you condone harmful actions or avoid setting boundaries. It means you see beyond the surface appearance to the divine reality beneath. Every situation becomes an opportunity to practice this recognition. That traffic jam isn't separate from spiritual life. It's God appearing as this teaching moment about patience. That financial challenge isn't outside the realm of divine goodness. It's life inviting you to trust more deeply and think more creatively. This understanding dissolves the typical spiritual compartmentalization that keeps people seeking God in temples while missing God in their kitchen, looking for the sacred in meditation while overlooking it in conversation, pursuing peace in solitude while ignoring it in relationships. The transformation is complete when you realize that everything you touch, see, and experience is holy ground. Every person you meet is a walking temple. Every moment is a divine appointment. Every challenge is a sacred initiation into greater wisdom and strength. This isn't about denying the reality of problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about seeing through appearances to the underlying spiritual reality where all things work together for good. It's understanding that even in darkness, light is present. Even in chaos, divine order is operating. Even in crisis, love is orchestrating growth. When you live from this awareness of oneness, your words naturally become more conscious because you realize you're speaking to yourself in all your interactions. You become more kind because you understand that what you give to others, you're giving to yourself. You become more forgiving because you know that holding resentment is like being angry at your own reflection. This principle of oneness is what makes real healing possible. When you stop fighting with life and start recognizing life as the movement of divine love, resistance dissolves. When you quit trying to separate yourself from difficult experiences and instead find God within them, transformation occurs naturally. The journey into oneness isn't about losing your individuality. It's about discovering your true identity as a unique expression of the infinite. You're not disappearing into some cosmic soup. You're finding your authentic voice within the divine symphony. Comment, I see God everywhere, if this recognition of oneness is awakening something profound within your consciousness. Comment, I see God everywhere, if this recognition of oneness is awakening something profound within your consciousness. When this awareness of oneness truly settles into your consciousness, something remarkable happens to all your perceived problems. You begin to understand that every disease, every conflict, every sense of lack stems from one fundamental illusion, the belief in separation. Fox reveals that all suffering, at its root, comes from forgetting our essential unity with the divine and with each other. Think about it. When you feel deeply connected to yourself, others, and life itself, fear naturally dissolves. When you remember that you're not alone against a hostile universe, but rather an expression of infinite love, experiencing itself through your unique perspective, anxiety loses its power. The me versus them mentality that creates so much conflict in the world simply cannot exist when you truly know we are one. This understanding creates a fundamental shift in how you approach healing. Instead of fighting against your body, your circumstances, or your challenges, you start working with them. You recognize that everything arising in your experience is part of one unified field of consciousness, and within that field, everything seeks harmony and wholeness. The transformation goes even deeper. Your decisions begin flowing from unity consciousness rather than separation thinking. Instead of how can I protect myself from this, you ask. How can this situation serve the highest good for all? Instead of what's wrong with me, you inquire, what is life trying to teach through this experience? Now, I want to go even deeper into one of the most practical applications of this oneness principle, forgiveness. This is where many people struggle because they misunderstand what forgiveness actually is. Fox reveals that forgiveness has nothing to do with condoning wrong actions or pretending pain didn't happen. True forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the prison of resentment. Here's the hidden truth that transforms how you approach forgiveness. It's not a favor you do for someone else. It's a gift you give yourself. Every moment you hold on to resentment, you remain energetically tied to the person who hurt you. This invisible chain drains your energy, clouds your thinking, and blocks the flow of good into your life. Imagine carrying a heavy stone wherever you go, constantly, reminding yourself of how someone wronged you. That's what resentment does. It doesn't punish them. They're probably living their life completely unaware of your pain. It punishes you, keeping you trapped in the past, unable to fully receive the blessings that life wants to offer you right now. Behind the scenes of your consciousness, forgiveness operates as a powerful force of liberation. When you truly forgive, you're not saying what happened was okay. You're saying, I refuse to let this experience continue controlling my life. I choose freedom over bondage. You're essentially cutting the energetic cord that keeps you tethered to past pain. The journey of forgiveness becomes natural when you understand oneness. If we are all connected, if we are all expressions of the same divine life, then holding resentment toward another is like being angry at your own hand for accidentally hitting your knee. It makes no sense when seen from the perspective of unity. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat or staying in harmful situations. Recognizing oneness actually gives you the clarity to set healthy boundaries and make wise decisions. But it allows you to do so from love rather than fear, from wisdom rather than reaction. When you forgive from this place of understanding, something miraculous happens. The energy you were using to maintain resentment becomes available for creating positive change. The mental space occupied by past hurts opens up for new possibilities. The emotional weight lifts, allowing your natural joy and peace to emerge. Type I choose freedom if you're ready to release old resentments and step into the liberation that forgiveness offers. Type I choose freedom if you're ready to release old resentments and step into the liberation that forgiveness offers. What many people discover on this journey is that the mind alone cannot accomplish forgiveness. You might understand intellectually why someone acted the way they did. You might see how their pain led to them hurting you, but still feel that knot of resentment in your chest. This is because true forgiveness doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the soul, from the Christ consciousness within you. The mind is an analyzer, a recorder, a keeper of scores. It remembers every detail, replays every hurt, and builds cases for why forgiveness isn't deserved. But the soul operates from an entirely different realm, the realm of unconditional love and divine understanding. When you connect with this deeper part of yourself, forgiveness becomes not just possible, but natural. This is where Fox's practical guidance becomes golden. When you find yourself unable to forgive, when the hurt feels too deep or the wound too fresh, There's a prayer that can transform everything. Father, I cannot, but you in me can. Help me let go. This isn't admitting defeat. It's recognizing that forgiveness is a spiritual act that flows through you rather than from you. The impact of this approach is profound. Instead of struggling and straining to manufacture forgiveness through willpower, you open yourself to receive it as grace. You become a channel for divine love rather than the source of it. This takes all the pressure off and allows healing to happen naturally. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be the most challenging aspect of forgiveness: forgiving yourself. Often, the most difficult person to forgive is the one staring back at you in the mirror. Self-forgiveness can feel impossible when you know every detail of your failures, every moment of weakness, every choice you regret. Fox emphasizes that guilt is the strongest shackle that binds the human soul. While resentment toward others keeps you tied to the past, guilt keeps you trapped in shame about your own actions. It whispers lies like, "You're not worthy of good things," and "You don't deserve to be happy after what you've done." Here's the revelation that changes everything. God doesn't judge you. God doesn't keep a record of your faults. God doesn't remember your mistakes. From the divine perspective, only the Christ in you is seen, your perfect, eternal, unchangeable essence. If God has forgiven you from the beginning, who are you to keep condemning yourself? This doesn't mean you shouldn't learn from mistakes or make amends where possible. It means recognizing that your worth isn't determined by your actions. Your value isn't contingent on your performance. You are loved not because of what you do, but because of who you are, a beloved child of God. Behind the scenes of your self-talk, a transformation occurs when you begin speaking to yourself with the same compassion you'd offer a dear friend. Instead of, "I'm such an idiot for making that mistake," you learn to say, "I'm learning and growing through this experience." Instead of, "I'll never be good enough," you declare, "I am enough exactly as I am." The journey of self-forgiveness requires you to challenge the inner critic that has perhaps been your companion for years. This voice isn't protecting you or keeping you safe. It's keeping you small. When you forgive yourself, you're not lowering standards or becoming permissive. You're creating the emotional space necessary for genuine growth and transformation. Self-forgiveness also has a ripple effect on every other relationship in your life. When you treat yourself with kindness, you naturally extend that kindness to others. When you release yourself from the prison of guilt, you become capable of true empathy for others who are struggling with their own mistakes. The most beautiful aspect of this teaching is that forgiveness, both of others and yourself, becomes easier as you deepen your connection to your divine nature. When you remember that you are spirit having a human experience, rather than just a human trying to be spiritual, compassion flows naturally. You begin to see everyone, including yourself, as souls in the classroom of life, learning and growing through experience. Your decisions about forgiveness become less about whether someone deserves it and more about what serves your own freedom and peace. Your mindset shifts from judgment to understanding, from condemnation to love. This is when healing happens, not just on the surface, but at the deepest levels of your being. Share "I forgive myself" if you're ready to release self-condemnation and embrace the divine love that has always been yours. Share "I forgive myself" if you're ready to release self-condemnation and embrace the divine love that has always been yours. As you journey deeper into self-forgiveness and understanding the nature of divine love, you begin to crave something beyond words, beyond thoughts, beyond the constant chatter of daily life. This leads us to one of Fox's most profound practices, the cultivation of sacred silence. In our incredibly noisy world, where every moment seems filled with sound, information, and distraction, God speaks in the softest whisper from the very depths of your being. Sacred silence isn't simply about finding a quiet room, though that can help. It's about discovering inner stillness, a descent into your deepest being, where there are no words, no agendas, no demands. It's about entering that invisible sanctuary within your consciousness where the ordinary mind quiets and the voice of divine wisdom can be heard. Think about how rarely you experience true silence in your daily life. Even when the external world is quiet, your mind is often racing with thoughts, plans, worries, or mental conversations. Fox teaches that this inner noise is what keeps us from hearing the gentle guidance that's always available. In the depths of silence, God speaks not in words, but through a knowing that rises from within. Now, I want to go even deeper into the most powerful practice Fox offers for accessing this sacred silence, wordless prayer. This might surprise you because we're often taught that prayer involves speaking, asking, or reciting specific phrases. But the deepest prayer happens when words fall away and only presence remains. The practice is beautifully simple yet profound in its effects. You sit quietly, breathe consciously, and silently repeat a sacred phrase like, "God is here," or "I am one with God," or simply, "I am." You don't strain or concentrate hard. You gently return to the phrase whenever you notice your mind wandering. Gradually, something beautiful happens. The words fade away and you're left with pure presence, pure being, pure connection with the divine. This wordless prayer creates a space where transformation can occur naturally. You're not trying to figure anything out, not analyzing or planning or worrying. You're simply being open to whatever wants to emerge from the deeper wisdom within you. Sometimes answers come as images that suddenly appear in your mind's eye. Sometimes they arrive as feelings, a sudden peace, a warm knowing, a sense of being held. Often, the most profound revelations don't come during the practice itself, but later, in dreams that carry symbolic messages, in conversations where someone says exactly what you need to hear, in moments when you just know what to do without knowing how you know. This is because wordless prayer plants seeds in your consciousness that bloom in their own perfect timing. Behind the scenes of your daily experience, regular practice of sacred silence begins to transform everything. Your decisions start flowing from a deeper wisdom rather than surface-level thinking. Your mindset shifts from anxiety to trust. You develop what Fox calls spiritual intuition, a direct knowing that bypasses the analytical mind. The impact of this practice extends far beyond your personal meditation time. As you cultivate inner silence, you become more present in all your interactions. You listen more deeply to others because you've learned to listen to yourself. You respond rather than react because you're connected to a place of peace. Within, there's something magical about how this practice works. You don't need years of experience or perfect technique. Even 10 minutes of sincere practice can open doorways to profound insights. The key is consistency and sincerity, showing up to this sacred appointment with yourself, even when you don't feel like it, even when your mind is particularly noisy. The journey into sacred silence also reveals the futility of trying to reach God through mental effort alone. All the books you read, all the concepts you understand, all the intellectual knowledge you accumulate, while valuable, can never replace the direct experience of divine presence that comes through silent communion. When you practice wordless prayer regularly, you begin to understand what the mystics have always known, that God is not found through seeking, but through being, not through thinking, but through presence, not through words, but through silence. The divine doesn't need to be reached because it was never far away. It simply needs to be recognized. Right, I embrace sacred silence if you feel called to explore this profound practice of wordless communion with the divine. When you begin to experience the transformative power of sacred silence, a deeper mystery reveals itself. This brings us to one of Fox's most challenging yet liberating teachings, the law of goodness. This principle declares that everything happening in your life, absolutely everything, serves your spiritual evolution. Nothing is random, nothing is punishment, nothing occurs to destroy you. This might be difficult to accept, especially when you're in the midst of suffering or facing what appears to be senseless tragedy. Your mind may rebel against this idea, arguing that surely some experiences are just cruel fate or meaningless pain. But Fox invites you to see from God's perspective, where there are no meaningless tragedies or useless suffering. Everything is part of a loving educational process designed to help you remember who you truly are. Think about this for a moment. If you're an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience, then every situation becomes a classroom for growth. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to develop strength, compassion, wisdom, or faith. Every loss becomes a chance to discover what truly endures. Every mistake becomes a teacher showing you a better way. Now I want to go even deeper into what Fox calls the hidden blessings in pain. This is where the teaching moves from theory into the realm of personal testimony. I invite you to reflect on your own life. Hasn't what seemed like misfortune at the time often revealed itself as a disguised blessing? Haven't your greatest strengths emerged from your most difficult experiences? Perhaps that job loss led you to a better career path. Maybe that broken relationship taught you how to love yourself first. That illness might have slowed you down enough to discover what really matters. The challenge that seemed insurmountable possibly revealed inner resources you didn't know you possessed. This isn't about minimizing pain or pretending suffering doesn't hurt. It's about recognizing the mysterious alchemy by which life transforms our deepest wounds into our greatest wisdom. Behind the scenes of your most difficult moments, something sacred is often at work, something that knows exactly what you need for your soul's growth. The transformation that occurs when you truly understand this principle is profound. Your relationship with life's challenges completely shifts. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin asking, "What is this here to teach me?" Instead of feeling victimized by circumstances, you start looking for the hidden gift in every situation. Your decisions begin flowing from this deeper trust. When faced with difficulties, instead of panicking or feeling defeated, you find yourself curious about what growth opportunity is being presented. Your mindset evolves from "things shouldn't be this way" to "this is unfolding perfectly for my evolution, even if I can't see how yet." This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting harmful situations without change. It means approaching challenges from a foundation of spiritual understanding rather than fear or resentment. You take inspired action because you trust that every situation contains the seeds of something greater, not because you're fighting against a hostile universe. The mystery of goodness reveals itself gradually as you practice this perspective. You begin to see patterns in your life, how certain experiences prepared you for later challenges, how specific skills developed during difficulties became essential later on, how people who seemed to hurt you actually served your growth in unexpected ways. This understanding brings tremendous peace. You realize that nothing in your life has been wasted. Every tear, every struggle, every moment of confusion has been contributing to your spiritual evolution. The universe hasn't been punishing you or testing you cruelly. It's been loving you with the kind of love that helps you become everything you're meant to be. The impact extends beyond personal peace. When you see your own journey this way, you naturally extend the same understanding to others. You become more compassionate toward people who are struggling because you recognize they're in their own classroom, learning their own perfect lessons. Type, "Everything serves my growth if you're willing." To trust that life is always working for your highest good, even when you can't see the bigger picture. Type, "Everything serves my growth," if you're willing to trust that life is always working for your highest good, even when you can't see the bigger picture. As you embrace the truth that everything serves your evolution, you naturally begin to wonder about the force behind this cosmic orchestration. This leads us to perhaps the most profound revelation in Fox's teaching, the nature of divine love. This isn't the love you've experienced between humans, which can be fragile, conditional, and changeable. We're talking about unconditional, eternal, total love. Here's what transforms everything. God doesn't simply have love the way you might have a possession. God is love. Love isn't an emotion that God feels. Love is the very essence of divine being. This means that the love creating you, sustaining you, and living within you as the inner Christ isn't subject to the fluctuations of mood or circumstance. It's as constant as existence itself. When you truly recognize this love, not just understand it intellectually, but feel it in the depths of your being, something miraculous happens. You become one with the power that governs the universe. You're no longer seeking love from external sources. You realize you are love expressing itself in human form. This recognition doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you humble with wonder at the magnificent mystery of existence. The impact of this realization ripples through every aspect of your life. Your decisions begin flowing from this deep knowing that you are loved unconditionally, not because of what you do, but because of what you are. Your relationships transform because you're no longer seeking validation from others. You're offering love from the abundance you've discovered within. Now, I want to go even deeper into how this divine love operates in practical terms. Fox teaches that while laws establish cause and effect, you reap what you sow. Actions have consequences. Love transcends these laws through redemption. This is where the mystery of grace enters the picture. Law operating alone might say someone deserves to suffer for their mistakes. But love says they need to heal. Law might decree that certain consequences must follow certain actions. But love finds ways to transform consequences into opportunities for growth and learning. When law is wrapped in love, it becomes pure healing rather than cold punishment. Behind the scenes of your spiritual journey, this principle is constantly at work. Every time you've been forgiven when you didn't deserve it, every time grace has intervened in what seemed like an impossible situation, every time love has made a way where there seemed to be no way, these are examples of love transcending law. This doesn't mean love ignores justice or enables harmful behavior. It means love always seeks the highest good for all involved. Love works through consequences to bring about growth rather than mere punishment. Love uses every situation, even apparent failures, as stepping stones toward greater understanding and compassion. When you align yourself with this supreme law of love, everything you do gains multiplied power. A word spoken with love carries healing force that words alone cannot possess. An action performed with love creates ripples of blessing far beyond what the action itself could achieve. A thought held in love becomes a beacon of light in consciousness. The transformation occurs when you stop trying to fix yourself or others through sheer willpower or harsh discipline. Instead, you allow love to do its work. You approach your own mistakes with loving kindness, which naturally leads to genuine change rather than self-punishment. You extend this same loving understanding to others, which often opens hearts that criticism could never touch. Your mindset shifts from, "I must follow the rules to earn love," to, "I am." Love in action, naturally expressing goodness. Your spiritual practice becomes less about trying to be good enough and more about remembering who you really are, a beloved expression of infinite love. This principle of love, transcending law, reveals itself most powerfully in how you treat yourself when you fall short of your ideals. The law part of you might say, "You messed up again. You deserve to feel guilty." But love says, "You're learning. You're growing." This experience is part of your journey back to wholeness. When you consistently choose love over law, healing over punishment, redemption over condemnation, you become a channel for divine grace in the world. You become living proof that love is indeed the supreme law, the force that ultimately transforms all things. Comment "Love is my truth" if you're ready to live from this fundamental understanding that you are not just loved, but are love itself. As you deepen into this understanding of divine love, something revolutionary becomes clear. Unconditional love isn't a feeling that comes and goes with your moods or circumstances. It's a state of consciousness, a way of being that you can cultivate and maintain regardless of what's happening around you. This love doesn't depend on others treating you well or meeting your expectations. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions to express itself. Instead, it operates from a simple yet profound recognition. I am love, and the love that I am, I extend. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel warm and fuzzy toward everyone. It's about recognizing your true nature and living from that truth. When you genuinely love without conditions, not because someone deserves it, but because love is who you are, something extraordinary happens. You enter God's vibrational field, a realm where fear cannot exist, where attack becomes impossible, where lack dissolves into abundance. This isn't a metaphysical fantasy. It's a practical reality that transforms how you move through the world. Your decisions begin flowing from this consciousness of love rather than from fear or need. Instead of asking, "What can I get from this situation?" you ask, "How can love express through me here?" Instead of protecting yourself from potential hurt, you remain open because you know your worth isn't determined by others' actions. Now, I want to go even deeper into how this consciousness of love connects with what Fox calls scientific prayer. When you operate from love, consciousness prayer takes on an entirely different quality. It becomes less about asking God for things and more about aligning with the divine principles that govern manifestation. True prayer involves three essential elements that work together like components of a spiritual formula. First is clarity. You must know exactly what you're affirming. Vague prayers produce vague results. When you pray from love consciousness, your desires naturally align with the highest good, so clarity flows easily. The second element is acceptance, actually feeling that you already have what you're praying for. This isn't about pretending or working yourself into an artificial emotional state. It's about recognizing that in the spiritual realm, everything good is already yours. When you pray from love, this acceptance feels natural because love knows its unlimited nature. The third element is faith. Not faith that God might answer your prayer if you're good enough, but inner certainty that spiritual laws work as precisely as physical laws. This faith comes naturally when you understand that you're not separate from God, but are divine consciousness expressing through human form. Jesus gave us the master key to effective prayer when he said, "When you pray, believe you have received." Notice the order. First you believe, then you receive in the physical world. This defies human logic that says seeing is believing, but spiritual law operates on the principle that believing is seeing. The transformation that occurs when you combine love consciousness with scientific prayer is remarkable. Your prayers become declarations of truth rather than desperate pleas. You're not begging an external deity to change your circumstances. You're aligning with divine law to allow what's already yours, spiritually, to manifest physically. Behind the scenes of your spiritual practice, this approach eliminates the struggle and strain many people experience with prayer. When you pray from love consciousness, there's no desperation, no fear that your prayer won't be answered, no sense of unworthiness. There's simply a joyful recognition of your divine nature expressing through clear intention. The impact extends beyond your personal prayer life. When you combine unconditional love consciousness with scientific prayer principles, every aspect of your life becomes a prayer. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to affirm divine good. Every moment becomes a chance to align with the highest possibilities. Type I am love expressing. If this understanding of love as consciousness and prayer as spiritual science is shifting how you relate to your spiritual practice. When you truly grasp that prayer operates from love consciousness through spiritual law, everything about how you pray transforms. This brings us to one of Fox's most practical yet revolutionary insights. Effective prayer doesn't ask for future blessings, but recognizes present reality. The shift is subtle, but absolutely transformative. Instead of saying, "Lord, give me peace," you learn to say, "Father, I recognize your peace already lives within me now." Instead of, "Please heal me," you declare, "I know divine health is my true nature." Instead of, "Help me find prosperity," you affirm, "I acknowledge the abundance that flows through me now." This isn't semantic wordplay. It's a fundamental shift from lack consciousness to abundance consciousness. Prayer doesn't change God. God isn't sitting somewhere waiting to be convinced or persuaded by your words. Prayer changes you by aligning your consciousness with what's already been given. In the spiritual realm, you already have perfect health, abundant supply, lasting peace, and infinite love. Prayer is simply opening your awareness to receive what's always been yours. The transformation occurs when you understand that everything good exists simultaneously in the spiritual dimension. Time is a construct of the physical world, but in consciousness, all possibilities exist now. When you pray from this understanding, you're not begging for something to happen someday. You're claiming what's true right now in the realm of spirit. Now, I want to go even deeper into what Fox calls guarding your prayer. This is where many people unknowingly sabotage their own spiritual practice. After praying for health, they immediately say, "I'm dying." After affirming abundance, they complain, "There's never enough money." After declaring peace, they worry out loud about tomorrow. Fox warns that every negative word you speak after prayer cancels your prayer like stepping on a newly planted seed. Imagine planting a beautiful flower seed in rich soil, watering it with love and care, then stomping on it because you forgot it was there. This is exactly what happens when you speak against your prayer. Behind the scenes of your consciousness, these contradictory words create powerful confusion. Your subconscious receives mixed messages. First the affirmation of good, then the reinforcement of lack. Since your subconscious operates on the principle of what is consistently spoken becomes real, these opposing messages create internal conflict rather than manifestation. The practical impact of this teaching is profound. It requires you to become incredibly mindful of your speech patterns. You begin to notice how often you unconsciously affirm the very things you're trying to change. You develop what I call prayer consciousness. An awareness that every word is either supporting your spiritual vision or undermining it. This doesn't mean living in denial or pretending problems don't exist. It means being strategic about your words. You can acknowledge a challenge without claiming it as your permanent reality. You can address a situation without defining yourself by it. You can take action while maintaining your spiritual vision. The journey becomes one of consistent alignment. Your words, thoughts, and prayers begin moving in the same direction rather than canceling each other out. You develop the habit of catching negative speech early and redirecting it toward truth. You learn to speak in ways that support your highest good rather than reinforcing old limitations. When you master this principle of guarding your prayer through conscious speech, something beautiful happens. Your entire life becomes a continuous prayer. Every word becomes an affirmation. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to build rather than tear down. You become a living example of what it means to align speech with spirit. Your decisions begin reflecting this new consciousness. Instead of automatically complaining when faced with challenges, you pause and choose words that affirm your ability to overcome. Instead of gossiping or criticizing, you find ways to bless and uplift. Your mindset shifts from reactive speech to creative speech. Write, "I guard my words," if you're committed to speaking only what supports your Highest vision, protecting your prayers through conscious speech. Right, I guard my words. If you're committed to speaking only what supports your highest vision, protecting your prayers through conscious speech. When you truly commit to guarding your speech and aligning your words with your highest spiritual vision, a profound realization begins to dawn. This brings us to what Fox calls the ultimate revelation, the truth that you don't need to wait for external salvation of any kind. You are already saved. You're already free. You are already divine. This revelation strikes at the heart of religious conditioning that teaches us to look outside ourselves for redemption. Fox declares something revolutionary. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. Christ has not come to be worshipped from afar, but to live within you. The kingdom of God isn't a distant realm you'll access after death. It's within you right now. All the power of heaven sleeps in your soul, waiting for your recognition. Think about this for a moment. Every spiritual gift, every divine quality, every miraculous ability that you've read about or heard described is already present within your consciousness. It's not waiting to be earned or granted. It's waiting to be awakened. This isn't spiritual arrogance or New Age fantasy. It's the deepest teaching of Christianity, often obscured by institutional interpretations, but shining clearly in Christ's own words. The kingdom of heaven is within you. You are the light of the world. Greater works than these shall you do. The transformation that occurs when you accept this revelation is profound. You stop seeking God somewhere else and start recognizing God as the very essence of your being. You cease waiting for someone else to save you and begin claiming your inherent divinity. Behind the scenes of all your spiritual seeking, what you were looking for was always present, simply awaiting your acknowledgement. Now, I want to go even deeper into what Fox calls the kingdom within. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for redemption from external sources, from institutions, from teachers, from experiences, from achievements. They believe their worthiness depends on something or someone outside themselves. But Fox reveals that Christ lives in your consciousness right now, not as a distant savior, but as your true identity. You are not flesh, though you inhabit a body. You are not your history, though you've had experiences. You are not your mistakes, though you've made them. You are spirit, a spark of divine mind, a channel of eternal love. Everything you need for peace, healing, prosperity, and happiness is already within you. This understanding revolutionizes how you approach life's challenges. Instead of feeling powerless against circumstances, you remember that you carry infinite power within your consciousness. Instead of thinking you need to struggle and strain to overcome obstacles, you recognize that solutions arise naturally when you align with your divine nature. Your decisions begin flowing from this inner kingdom rather than from external pressures or limitations. When faced with difficulties, instead of immediately looking outside for answers, you turn within to access the wisdom that knows no boundaries. You realize that every teacher, every book, every experience has simply been pointing you back to the truth you've always carried. The impact extends to every relationship and situation in your life. When you know who you truly are, divine consciousness expressing through human form, you naturally treat yourself and others with greater love and respect. You see past surface appearances to recognize the same divine spark in everyone you meet. This revelation doesn't make you passive or ethereal. It makes you incredibly practical and effective. When you know you are connected to infinite intelligence, you make better decisions. When you remember you are channels of divine love, you relate more harmoniously. When you recognize you are inherently abundant, you approach finances with confidence rather than fear. The journey to fully accepting this revelation often involves releasing layers of conditioning that told you otherwise. Society, family, even some religious teachings may have convinced you that you're small, limited, unworthy, or separate from God. But your true self knows better. The Christ within you is patient, waiting for you to remember. Type, The kingdom is within me if you're ready to stop seeking outside yourself and claim the divine inheritance that has always been yours. Type, "The kingdom is within me," if you're ready to stop seeking outside yourself and claim the divine inheritance that has always been yours. When you begin to truly grasp that the kingdom of God is within you, a beautiful paradox emerges. Recognizing the Christ consciousness within isn't a claim to spiritual superiority or religious arrogance. In fact, it's the deepest humility, acknowledging that alone, as a mere human ego, you are nothing, but in God, you are everything. This is what Paul meant when he said, "I no longer live, but Christ lives in me." It's not the personality that claims divinity, but the recognition that divine life expresses through this human form. It's the ultimate surrender of ego to let divine consciousness live and move and express through your thoughts, words, and actions. The transformation occurs when you realize this truth is universal. Christ consciousness isn't the exclusive property of religious figures or spiritual elites. It's the birthright of every human being, that divine spark that exists within each person you meet, whether they recognize it or not. This understanding fills you with humility and compassion rather than pride or separation. Behind the scenes of your spiritual journey, this recognition begins to dissolve the false identity you've carried. You start to see how society, family, conditioning and past experiences convinced you that you were limited, unworthy, or forgotten. But these were never true descriptions of your essence. They were simply stories overlaid upon your divine nature. Now I want to go even deeper into what Fox reveals about your true identity. You are not what others have told you. You're not defined by your failures, your limitations, or your circumstances. You are a divine expression, eternal consciousness, choosing to experience this physical plane through your unique perspective. This isn't metaphysical theory. It's the most practical truth you could embrace. When you know who you really are, every decision flows from this divine identity rather than from fear, lack, or limitation. You approach challenges from the perspective of eternal consciousness with infinite resources, rather than from the viewpoint of a struggling human with finite capabilities. The impact of claiming your true identity ripples through every area of your life. Your relationships transform because you no longer seek validation from others. You know your worth is inherent. Your work becomes an expression of divine creativity rather than mere survival. Your finances improve because you operate from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity thinking. Most importantly, you realize you didn't come to this earth to suffer. You didn't incarnate to pay for some cosmic debt or endure meaningless pain. You came to remember who you are, to awaken to your divine nature, and to manifest good in the world. Every experience, even the challenging ones, serves this greater purpose of awakening. This truth doesn't depend on external proof or validation. You don't need anyone else to confirm your divine nature for it to be real. You don't need to achieve certain spiritual milestones or master specific practices to be worthy of this recognition. Your divinity exists independent of your performance, circumstances, or beliefs. The journey becomes one of remembering rather than becoming. You're not trying to transform into something you're not. You're recognizing what you've always been. Every spiritual practice, every moment of growth, every insight gained is simply revealing more clearly the divine truth of your being. Your mindset shifts from "I'm trying to become spiritual" to "I am spirit having a human experience." Your decisions start flowing from this remembered identity rather than from the false self that society created. You begin living as the divine being you are, rather than as the limited person you were taught to be. The world needs people who remember their true identity. It needs souls who live from their divine nature, rather than from fear and limitation. When you claim your identity as eternal consciousness, as divine expression, as Christ incarnate, you become a light that helps others remember their own true nature. Right, I remember who I am. If you're ready to release false identities and live from the truth of your divine nature, write, I remember who I am. If you're ready to release false identities and live from the truth of your divine nature. When you truly begin to remember who you are, a profound shift occurs in where you look for answers, validation, and fulfillment. This understanding brings us full circle to where Fox began, the recognition that the journey ends where it started, within you. Every single thing you've been seeking outside yourself has been patiently waiting within. Your own consciousness. Think about how much time, energy, and resources you've spent looking for happiness in relationships, success in careers, peace in substances, or meaning in external achievements. All of this seeking isn't wrong. It's simply the natural process of soul evolution. But at some point on the spiritual journey, you realize that the treasure you've been hunting for in distant lands has been in your own backyard all along. Fox teaches a radical truth. Stop searching outside for what you already possess inside. This doesn't mean becoming isolated or disengaging from the world. It means recognizing that everything you need, peace, love, wisdom, power, abundance, already exists within your consciousness. External things can reflect this inner reality, but they cannot give you what you already are. The transformation required here is letting go of feelings of unworthiness and limitation that have driven your external seeking. These feelings whisper lies like, you're not enough as you are, or you need something more to be complete. But when you remember your true identity, you realize these voices were never speaking truth about who you are. The declaration, I am the Christ in manifestation, isn't spiritual ego. It's spiritual honesty. It's recognizing that divine consciousness isn't something separate from you that you must reach for, but something you are that needs to be expressed. It's the difference between trying to become divine and recognizing that divinity is your natural state. Now I want to go even deeper into what Fox reveals about your divine purpose. You didn't incarnate on this earth to pay for some cosmic debt or to suffer as atonement for humanity's sins. You came here with a sacred mission, to remember your divine nature and manifest good in the world. The world doesn't need more souls believing they're unworthy sinners requiring salvation. The world needs people who remember they are light and choose to let that light shine. Your very purpose on this planet is to be that light in action, to embody divine love, wisdom, and power in practical, tangible ways. Behind the scenes of your daily life, this purpose operates whether you're conscious of it or not. Every act of kindness, every moment of choosing love over fear, every decision to affirm good rather than dwell on problems, these are all expressions of your divine purpose manifesting through human form. Your decisions begin flowing from this understanding of purpose rather than from obligation or struggle. You don't try to be good because you should. You express goodness because it's your nature. You don't force yourself to love others. You allow the love that you are to flow naturally. You don't work to become divine. You let divinity express through your work. The impact of embracing this purpose transforms everything. Your relationships become opportunities to practice divine love. Your challenges become chances to demonstrate spiritual principles. Your career becomes a vehicle for manifesting divine creativity and service. Your entire life becomes a living prayer, a continuous expression of the light you are. This purpose doesn't require grand gestures or public recognition. Sometimes the most powerful expression of your divine purpose happens in quiet moments. Holding space for someone in pain, speaking words of encouragement, making decisions from love rather than fear. The light you carry illuminates not through dramatic displays but through consistent authenticity. The journey toward fulfilling your divine purpose isn't about perfection, it's about progression. Every day offers countless opportunities to choose light over darkness, love over fear, truth over illusion. Each choice aligns you more fully with why you came here, to awaken to your divine nature and help others remember theirs. Your mindset evolves from "what can I get from life" to "what can divine love give through me?" This shift from receiving to channeling transforms not just your experience, but the energy you bring to every situation. You become a blessing to the world simply by being authentically who you are, divine consciousness in human form. Comment, "I am here to shine my light," if you feel ready to embrace your true purpose as divine consciousness expressing through your unique life. When you embrace this purpose of shining your light, you face an important choice. Will you try to express borrowed spiritual concepts, or will you let your authentic divine nature shine through? The world doesn't need another imitation of someone else's spirituality. It needs your unique light, the specific way divine consciousness expresses through your individual soul. Your Christ nature manifests uniquely through you. For some, it flows through acts of compassionate service. For others, it expresses through creative endeavors that uplift and inspire. Some embody divine love through patient listening and wise counsel. Others manifest spiritual truth through their work, their parenting, or their simple presence in the world. The beauty of this teaching is that you don't need to fit into someone else's model of spirituality. Your way of expressing love might look different from another's. Your form of prayer might be unique. Your method of blessing others might be unconventional. What matters is that you express your divine nature authentically, allowing the Christ within to manifest in ways that feel true to your soul. You become a walking embodiment of spiritual principles. When you choose forgiveness over resentment, you're not just following a rule, you're expressing divine mercy. When you speak words of encouragement instead of criticism, you're not just being nice, you're channeling creative power. When you see beauty where others see ugliness, you're not just being positive, you're demonstrating Christ consciousness. The transformation deepens when you realize a profound truth. You are both the answer to your prayer and the miracle waiting to unfold. Stop looking outside for saviors, masters, or miraculous interventions. The answers you've been seeking exist within your consciousness. The miracles you've been waiting for can flow through your awakened awareness. Now, I want to go even deeper into what Fox means when he says this: teaching represents a beginning, not an end. Everything we've explored together, from the creative power of thought to the recognition of your divine identity, represents a commencement rather than a conclusion. You're not graduating from spiritual school. You're finally ready to begin living what you've learned. Each principle you've encountered is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. The awareness of oneness, the practice of conscious speech, the understanding of forgiveness, the recognition of your inner Christ. These aren't just concepts to understand intellectually. They're living principles meant to be experienced, practiced, and embodied. Behind the scenes of your daily life, these seeds are already germinating. Every time you choose love over fear, you're watering the seed of unconditional love. Every moment you speak from truth rather than reaction, you're nurturing the seed of conscious speech. Every instance of seeing God in all circumstances, you're tending the seed of oneness. The impact of this beginning stage extends far beyond personal transformation. As you live these principles, you become a demonstration of their power. Others see the peace you found, the joy you express, the love you embody, and something stirs within them. Your living example becomes an invitation for others to remember their own divine nature. Your decisions now flow from spiritual principle rather than human conditioning. When faced with challenges, you don't automatically react from old patterns. Instead, you ask, "How would my divine nature respond here?" and allow wisdom to guide your actions. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistent practice and growing alignment with your true self. The journey becomes one of continuous unfolding. Each day offers fresh opportunities to apply these principles. Each interaction becomes a chance to express your Christ nature more fully. Each moment presents a choice to live from your divine identity rather than from limiting beliefs. What's beautiful is that this commencement doesn't require dramatic life changes. You can begin exactly where you are, in your current circumstances, with your present challenges. The divine light within you doesn't need perfect conditions to shine. It simply needs your recognition and willingness to let it express. Type, "This is my beginning," if you're ready to live these teachings daily and become the miracle you've been waiting for. Now we come to what Fox considers the ultimate purpose of all spiritual understanding: living the Christ. This isn't about religious performance or putting on a spiritual persona. It's about finally expressing, sharing, and manifesting the eternal Christ consciousness that has always been your true nature. Too many people spend their entire lives hiding their light or waiting for the perfect moment to really live. They say things like, "when I'm more spiritual," or "after I understand more," or "once I heal my wounds." But Fox challenges this thinking with a bold declaration: the time is now. Today, you can recognize yourself as divine consciousness. Today, you can claim your light. Today, you can begin living as the Christ you are. The world desperately needs your awakened presence right now, not someday in the future. Every moment you delay expressing your divine nature is a moment the world goes without the unique gift you came to bring. Your specific way of embodying divine love, wisdom, and power cannot be replicated by anyone else. Behind the scenes of your hesitation, fear often whispers reasons to wait. "You're not ready yet," it says. "You still have too many problems," it insists. "Other people might judge you," it warns, "but these are just echoes of old conditioning trying to keep you small. Your divine nature doesn't require perfection to express. It requires willingness. The transformation happens when you stop waiting for external permission or internal perfection and simply say with conviction, 'Today I recognize myself. Today I claim my light.' This isn't arrogance, it's humility before your true nature. It's finally accepting what God has always known about you. Right, I claim my light today. If you're done waiting and ready to express your divine nature fully, right here, right now, just as you are. If you've stayed with me through this entire journey into the inner Christ, I want you to know something remarkable has already happened. You didn't just passively watch a video. You participated in a spiritual awakening. You've absorbed truth that will continue working within your consciousness long after these words end. These aren't just concepts we've explored together. They're living principles that Fox carefully designed to transform your entire experience of life. From recognizing your creative power to claiming your divine identity, each revelation builds upon the last, creating a complete foundation for living as the Christ consciousness you truly are. If this resonates with your soul, if these teachings feel like coming home to yourself, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, not because I need the numbers, but because there's something sacred about consciously choosing to surround yourself with content that elevates your consciousness. This is just the beginning of exploring profound spiritual teachings that can literally transform your reality. And here's what I'd love to see. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a comment saying, "This was meant for me." There's something beautiful about this acknowledgement, this recognition that certain teachings find us exactly when we're ready to receive them. Your comment becomes part of the energy of awakening we're creating together. If this content stirred something deep within you, a simple like would mean everything. It's not about algorithms or numbers. It's about us creating a community of souls who are ready to live from their divine nature. Your like is a way of saying, "Yes, this truth resonates with who I am." There's a video right here that dives even deeper into practical ways to embody these teachings daily. Click and continue with me over there, and let's explore how to make this transformation real in every aspect of your life. Your awakening journey continues.